Hi, Tom. Today we're going to talk about the National Visa Center processing and some updates. Since we last talked, there have been a lot of changes. Remind everybody, what is the National Visa Center?
Well, after your visa petition is approved by immigration, it is sent to the National Visa Center. And the National Visa Center is part of the U.S. Department of State. It is a centralized facility that acts as a clearinghouse for your green card application and all of your supporting documents. The National Visa Center schedules the consulate interview once they are satisfied that you have paid all the fees, filed all the necessary forms, and provided the originals of all the supporting documents in the case.
Besides the applicant's original birth certificate, what other family documents does the National Visa Center want from the applicant?
If the applicant has ever been married, they will be expected to provide the marriage certificate.
But what if the applicant has been divorced or had a marriage annulled?
If the marriage has ended for any reason, the termination of the marriage must be documented. This usually means the divorce decree.
What if the applicant is widowed? Does the applicant still have to provide their prior marriage certificate?
Generally, yes. In circumstances where the spouse is deceased, the applicant should provide their marriage certificate and a certified copy of the spouse's death certificate.
What other trends do you see in the National Visa Center, Tom?
Well, the National Visa Center is asking for more of the original documents that were submitted to the Immigration Service with the original visa petition. This is particularly true for the documents of the petitioner. For example, it is very common now for the National Visa Center to request the petitioner's birth certificate as well.
Are there any other documents the National Visa Center wants from the petitioner?
Yes, if the petitioner is married, the National Visa Center will also want a certified copy of their marriage certificate.
Have there been any new developments regarding the birth certificates of applicants?
If the birth certificate was not issued at the time of birth, it is called a delayed registration birth certificate. Now, this is very common in India and Afghanistan, where it is customary to register the birth at a later date. If the National Visa Center receives a delayed registration birth certificate, they may ask for further documentation of the parent-child relationship. This kind of secondary evidence usually takes the form of old school records, medical records, or church records that include the parent's name on the paperwork. A typical example would be a baptismal or confirmation certificate. Another example is a school transcript that lists the parent's name. Yet another example is an immunization record with the parent's name on the record.
What if the person does not have any secondary records of the parent-child relationship?
Well, that is extremely rare because there is usually something, even if it is just some old photographs of the family members together.
Now, but what does the applicant submit if those documents have been lost or even destroyed?
In the case where there is little or no secondary evidence, they will have to provide at least 2 affidavits of birth. A person who was present at the time of the birth and knew about the birth can write a statement that identifies the date and place of birth of the child, the names of the parents, and explain how they acquired this knowledge. Ideally, they would sign the document under oath and have their signature notarized.
Have there been any changes to how documents are submitted to the National Visa Center?
Yes, the most recent change is that the application form for an immigrant visa, the form OF-230, is no longer accepted. The OF-230 form has been replaced by the form DS-260. The new DS-260 form must be submitted to the National Visa Center electronically. The form is completed online and submitted using the CEAC website, the Consular Electronic Application Center.
How is the new DS-260 form different from the old OF-230 form?
Well, the new DS-260 is much more detailed. You need to be prepared to provide accurate address with zip codes and also be prepared to provide the exact dates of your residence and employment history. The new form also asks much more detailed information and regarding things like your immigration history and your criminal history.
Can I provide approximate dates and information on the electronic DS-260 form?
You need to be very careful about the information that you provide because it all becomes a part of your permanent record. You will be held accountable for false or misleading statements, and you should be especially careful to give accurate dates of birth for family members, such as parents, spouse, and children.
Okay. What happens if I applied for a provisional waiver with the U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Service?
If you have applied for a waiver of the 3 or 10-year bar because of your unlawful presence in the United States, the National Visa Center will not schedule an interview at a consulate abroad until immigration has made a decision on the waiver and notifies the National Visa Center of that decision.
Do I need to do anything as an applicant if I plan on applying for a provisional waiver?
You need to notify the National Visa Center that you intend to apply for the waiver. When immigration receives the waiver application, they will also notify the National Visa Center that they are adjudicating the case.
If the waiver is approved and the National Visa Center schedules the consular interview, is that a guarantee that I will be issued a visa?
The approval of the provisional waiver guarantees that your application will not be denied based on your past unlawful presence in the United States. It does not address any of the other grounds for denial, such as your criminal record, your immigration record, or your receipt of government benefits.
Okay, thanks, Tom. If people want to get a hold of you, I think we just give them here some information for them to do that. Your telephone number is 707-747-5133. Your website is thomaslangfordlaw.com, thomaslangfordlaw.com, and your email is vtlangford@earthlink.net. Thanks again, Tom.
Thank you.